Hey guys, it's Judy from Nutrition with Judy. Today. I hope you guys are having a good week, eating a lot of meat. Please make sure to subscribe, hit the bell. This allows me to provide you guys more free content. Okay, so today we are going to continue the conversation that we just did in the last video. Please make sure to watch the first video so that you can kind of understand this whole series. Okay, so today we are going to continue some of the reasons of why you may be stalling or gaining weight on the carnivore diet. So number 4, eating too many processed foods and dairy. So we've learned that carby foods, foods that are processed, high carbs, lots of sugar, bypasses the satiety signals in our body. So these hormones that allow us to realize we're full and that we should stop eating. Well, unfortunately, cheese kind of does the same thing. Cheese has casomorphins and processed meats have additives, and these also can have some effects on our body like plant foods, but it also can just cause addictive behaviors in terms of food and not being able to spark our satiety signals to say that we are full and that we should stop eating. These foods are designed to be easily consumed and eaten all in one sitting. That is why it is so easy to eat a large bag of pork rinds, and that's easily almost 1,000 calories, if not more. The reality is that we have become a society that snacks, that we enjoy snacking. Sometimes we do want to snack, and that is okay. The thing is, carnivorous foods and their snacks are on the higher end of calories. Usually they just are more calorically dense. And so that's why when we oftentimes snack too much, it can lead to weight gain. But if you constantly snack every day and you don't know why, but you always need a snack, I would consider wondering why that's happening. Maybe you're not eating enough food in your meals, or maybe it's just that you are using food as an outlet. It can be an outlet for procrastination, for stress, for happiness, for every single emotion. And I myself do this. So when I'm done with a really stressful meeting or some work, I want to go downstairs and then I want to snack on something, and then I'll usually grab some cheese or I'll grab some pork rinds, and then I notice I just keep snacking and snacking, and those are the periods that I probably gained some of my weight. When I stopped consuming dairy for about 5 months, I noticed that I replaced dairy during my snacking with Duke sausages, or sausages that are more processed that may have some of the natural flavor. And while they're saying that there's no additives and nitrates, there are naturally occurring ones. And maybe these affect our satiety hormones. I know that I can eat like a whole bag of Duke. And then when I started adding dairy back in with all of these sausages and then adding heavy cream to my coffee, I noticed that I was gaining more weight. I think there's always a reason why we're gaining. Sometimes it's just hormonal. Sometimes we're going through a lot of stress. But I think getting to the core of why we may be snacking, why we're kind of leaning on food as a coping mechanism or something to kind of focus on other than what's the matter at hand. We need to work on those things, because while it's not easy, food should never be the answer to not deal with something. And in this case with carnivore, if you do that, you will likely gain weight. All right, number 5. We didn't get fat or get disordered eating overnight. Oftentimes we use food to celebrate, we use food to comfort us, we use food for every single reason. We may use food as an escape, and as I just mentioned, for procrastination. If we don't resolve the reasons why we are turning food for unhealthy reasons, for reasons that are not because we are hungry, then we will always struggle with these cravings. We will always struggle with wanting to eat more. Even when we go carnivore, unless we heal our relationship with food, we will always have that struggle. And so that struggle can mean that we stick to meat-based, but that we gain weight. So for example, because you're stressed, instead of eating carby foods and junk foods that you're used to, you're swapping them for cheese or from pork rinds. If it's for solely the reason of snacking and you just want to enjoy a snack while you're watching TV, fine. But if it's for emotional reasons, right, because you're stressed and it's kind of like alleviating it or taking the thoughts out of that moment and just focusing on food, that's probably not the answer in any diet. Carnivore is not a magic pill where it will heal coping with life struggles or emotions with food. This is why I focus so much on holistic living and lifestyles, the stress management, sleep, and also having people that talk about food addiction. Joan Iflin talks about food addiction. Food addiction is so important, and it doesn't matter what diet you are. If you are using food as an escape, then it's something that we really need to work on. We need to do the hard work and focus on healing our relationships with food. I know that it's hard, but it is so worth it. If we find and put in that hard work, if we find more healthful ways to self-care, then we are one step ahead of the game. When we are stressed, instead of turning to food, now we know that hey, running may be the answer, or maybe calling a friend. There are so many things you can do, but you have to figure out what works for you that will truly give you self-care. And that is the most important thing. Food is not the answer. Whether it's carby food or carnivorous foods, food is not going to make you feel better if you're eating just because you're dealing with hard emotions. And so I really implore you to take the time. There are worksheets in the Carnivore 75 Hard class program, and it talks through figuring out your why, figuring out what your self-care is, and all those things. I'll link to the program, and it's free. But if you do that hard work, then you can stop the constant yo-yo of going back and forth with this relationship with food, where it's 1 minute it's nourishing us, but then in another moment it is causing us so much strife. Guys, carnivore is not a magic pill in the sense of taking away all your bad relationships with food. It heals so much of it, but you need to do the end legwork so that you can truly have food freedom. All right, number 6. Okay, so many of us focus on eating ground beef and steaks and basically no organ meats, and that's okay. I mean, honestly, if you are feeling fine, your weight is good, and you have no complaints about being carnivore, yes, maybe some days you crave something else, but in general it's working for you, then don't stop. Never fix something that's not broken. Okay, that is my number one rule. I think listen to your bio individuality. But if you are eating a steak every day or adding butter and you feel still that you are deprived, or you're craving something else, or you can eat a ton more, maybe your body is telling you that you need other nutrients. And the reality is that some meats have more nutrients than others. For example, liver. I believe that liver has so many nutritional benefits. Liver is very nutrient dense. That is why some people say that if they eat a lot of liver, they actually have to eat a lot less meat, because it's taking care of all the nutritional needs we need. And so we don't need to consume as much meat. I'm not saying that it has to be liver, but try incorporating other foods. If you only eat steak and you're craving more, maybe add a little bit of fish, maybe add a little bit of chicken and pork. All of those have different varying nutritional makeups, so it may be beneficial to kind of change up what you are eating. If your cravings and satiety helps when you eat a variety, then maybe that may be your answer. If your body is able to break down all your meats and you are absorbing all your nutrients, why would your body crave something more? If it's not emotional, right? So if it's not that you're trying to use food to cope, but it's truly that you're just craving it, your body will only do that if truly it's missing some nutrients. So really listen to your body and trust your body. And if your body is craving something different, maybe it's just adding a little bit of more liver and a little bit less steak, so that you don't have to gain weight by eating a ton more and trying to figure all of this out. Sometimes adding just maybe 2 ounces of liver to your 12 ounces of steak or 16 ounces of steak is sufficient, and then maybe you won't crave anything more. I say experiment and try and figure out what works best for you. Number 7, maybe you're not moving enough. Exercise is so important. We may not need to eat 2,500, 3,000 calories if we live a very sedentary life. Only you will know that, but eating just 1,500 calories is not the answer too. Maybe you could get away with 1,500 calories if you are eating liver, because again, if you think about it, every single calorie also has nutrients, and if you are eating the most nutrient dense foods, then you could probably get away with eating less calories. Because remember, calories is just a measure of energy. So if you are sedentary and you don't want to do a lot of exercise, and you know that you can only eat a certain amount of calories, otherwise you'll gain weight, then maybe the answer is again to add a bit of organ meat and eat a little less steak or ground beef. Walking and putting on muscle is very important. We need to walk. We need our bodies to move for so many things in the body to function properly. We also need to hydrate, and we also need to put lean body mass on so that we can burn calories more effectively. It is the lean body mass that allows us to have a faster metabolic rate. And so it's important to make sure that we keep lean body mass on. I'm not a big fan of cardio anymore because it can affect the immune system, and too much cardio can actually have detrimental effects on the body. But if you do heavy weightlifting and long walks, those are great tools for exercise, and it's even great for the mind. All right, last one, number 8, unrealistic expectations. I probably should have started with this first, but I really am doing this whole series because I want people to have a more realistic expectation of carnivore so that you can then try carnivore for the long term. You know, there are many people in the public space that are thin, that are really buff, and they say that it's an XYZ diet that has got them there, but we don't know what happens behind closed doors. We don't know the full story, and we can't assume that social media is the truth of their whole lifestyles. It's funny because our brains like to kind of fill the gaps, and we assume that we know someone's whole story because they're sharing it. But the reality is we don't know a lot of their story. We can see maybe 10 minutes of their life in a day, but what is happening the rest of their days? I really implore you that you have to find your own journey and know that you need to be patient. You need to really trust that this is a healing diet and that you will have so many benefits. Then as you heal, you can use a lever and then figure out how to optimize your weight. But don't expect to become so thin overnight or in a few weeks. This is not a magic pill diet where you will lose weight and be healed of all the damage we've done for 30, 40, 50 years of our life. Let's not get frustrated just in a few months of doing carnivore and feeling like, why am I depriving myself and then none of this is working? This is so frustrating. Let's remember why we wanted to try carnivore and all the healing benefits we've seen in the community and also seen in our own lives, and then continue and stick with it and give it time. Adding stress to your diet and just adding stress to how much you're eating and why am I not losing weight, and having that constant chronic stress in your mind will not only affect your cortisol levels and your adrenals, it'll also affect your digestion. When you eat in a stressed state, you won't be digesting your nutrients as much. And then when you're not digesting, you're gonna have poor gut health. And then on top of that, you're gonna have more cravings. And then more cravings, because you're not getting enough nutrients, will then have you eat more. And then what's gonna happen? You're going to gain weight. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy that perpetuates the cycle. I really ask that you guys try carnivore for 6 months. Just believe in the diet. Who cares about weight? And then as you heal, then we can use levers to then focus on weight loss. The placebo effect is very real. Mindset is very real. If you believe that something's not going to happen, it's likely not going to happen. I recommend you watching the Carnivore 75 Hard program, and I talk about stories about mindset. If you believe a diet is not going to work for you, that it probably won't. Instead, imagine the steak. Instead of fearing that this steak is going to make me gain weight or this fat is going to make me gain weight, visualize that this food is healing your body, healing your organs, giving you back hormones and health, and going in your body and working its magic as meat can really do. Visualize your food providing nutrients in your body and healing your body, and that is the way to start getting back to optimal health. We want to stay carnivore and we want to stay for all the healing reasons, but sometimes the weight loss or the lack of weight loss will cause us to have frustrations and then want to deviate. In my next videos, I will talk about how to increase BMR, but all of them take some level of work. There's no easy pill. There's no easy way to break free from a broken BMR from all the years of yo-yo dieting, under-eating, binging, too much stress, etc. So I just ask that you guys be more realistic. Know that the carnivore diet is an amazing healing diet. If we find what fits our own individual needs, we'll find a way that it'll make it work for us. All right, guys, that is it for now. I will talk to you soon. Make sure to eat a lot of meat. Take care of your bodies because it is the only place to live. We will continue the series next week. Talk to you soon, guys. Take care. Bye.